Hello everyone and welcome to Art Chat. I'm Marge Lee and today we're in Rosemont talking with stone sculptor Carl Schusey. Welcome, Carl.
Thank you. Welcome.
So Carl, tell me, how did you get interested in stone sculpting?
Well, at the twilight of my practice, I decided that there was something I wanted to do with my hands. And I picked up the thought that I'd like to do stone sculpting.
Tell me about stone sculpting, because I have visions of somebody standing there with a block of stone and chiseling away. That's not really how it works though, is it?
No, no. Now we have big tools that carve stone. They're air hammers, and it cuts through stone very easily.
Ah, so this is one of your first pieces, correct?
Right. Yes.
And this piece won honorable mention in Ageless Creativity.
Right.
Tell us a little bit about this piece. What is the stone, first of all?
The stone is Italian crystalline alabaster, and it looks like crystal. And when you see it, it looks like glass.
Beautiful.
And that's what it is. It's just like glass. The crude stone is here, and then the sculpted stone is what you see here. And once your stone is sculpted with the image that you want to create, that's the beginning of the problems. From there on in, it's sanding to get this gloss and shine. And when you're done, from very crude sandpaper to very fine sandpaper, then you polish it with wax and you have the end product.
Beautiful, beautiful. So here we can see the bird on the branch. Turn it around, and then over here, which is a wonderful sort of angle from here, I can see three birds now. I see this little head peeking out, and then this bird, and then this bird as well.
All right.
Well, the judges in Ageless Creativity certainly love this. They thought it was a beautiful work.
It is a pretty image.
Well, let's walk down here and talk a little bit about this.
This is peanut butter alabaster, and it's a bird resting with its head buried in its wing.
So a different style than that.
Right.
Where does stone like this come from, Carl?
Marge, I purchase stone from all over. Some pieces I've got here come from British Columbia.
Huh. And this one came from where, did you say?
This came from out west.
Out west, out west. And here we have yet another style, which I think is so graceful.
Yeah.
A summer leaf. And
that's green alabaster, and that's a leaf, a summer leaf. And that also spins around so you can see what the back looks like.
What was the hardest part about doing this one?
Just trying to create the image of a leaf, I think.
Pretty veining.
Yeah.
What kind of tools are you using for this?
Once you sculpt with a coarse knife or blade, then you have to very cautiously sand until you get the fine smoothing.
How many hours would it take to do something like this, Carl?
Marge, it varies with the type of stone. This probably, the birds took me the longest. This is the least, and that's the least. But on the average, if I sculpted every morning for maybe Monday through Friday, it would take me maybe 3 or 4 weeks.
Oh my goodness, oh my goodness. Tell us about, first of all, what is the name and what's going on? What's the subject matter here?
This is a black alabaster, and this is a French nun in prayer, and I labeled it Deo Gratias, meaning thank be to God. And it's a French nun in prayer.
You've managed to get a really light sort of feeling out of this stone. I think this is just a wonderful work.
Yeah.
And I'm also very fond of this guy. What was your inspiration for the ram?
Oh, I just decided that I could bring a ram out of the stone I had, and I just decided that that's what I wanted to do with it, and I did it.
Okay, what are we looking at here, Carl?
This is orange alabaster. The stone is getting kind of rare and difficult to find, but it's a figure of a torso of a female, and I labeled it Circe.
Circe, I'm trying to think in my Greek mythology
Yeah,
about
it's
Circe.
seductress.
Ah, well, it does seduce. It's a beautiful, beautiful work.
Yeah.
This whole gallery here against the windows is so lovely. And here we have Rhapsody in Motion.
This is a abstract. It's what you see. I have nothing specific that I tried to get. I tried to bring out curves and what I thought would look like surfaces. Some people look at it and they say, gee, that looks like a cat. And others say it looks like a snake.
Huh?
I tell them it's what you see.
As is all art, I guess.
Yeah.
This is interesting that you have some
Yeah.
of these rough surfaces here
Yeah.
juxtaposed with the smooth. I like that.
This is, as I described before, you carve it with your tool, and then after it's carved, it's sanded. And then when it came to the surface here, I took a hammer and very gingerly tapped it with a chisel to the point that creates this surface here. That's another abstract. This is Italian crystalline alabaster, much like the birds that we talked about before. And when the light hits it, this shows veins coming right through it, surfaces.
I can see that, right?
Yeah. And this is just turns.
This turns. This has beautiful colorations down
Yeah.
here
Yeah,
in the stone.
that's one thing that's fascinating about stone. You never know what's going to come out of it until you sculpt it and then start sanding it. And then you begin to see the creases in the stone.
Because you discover, I mean, that comes
Yeah.
out during the process.
Right,
So it's like unwrapping a package,
Right.
so to speak.
yeah. This was a 400-pound piece of stone that was difficult to decide what I was going to do with it. And then for some reason or other, I decided to make a female torso lying down. And then as it began to evolve, I thought, it looks like she's asleep. And then, sure enough, after I carved this, we took a hammer and chisel and just chopped this up to create a blanket that she was lying down on. And the stone, which originally was brown, if you look at it, you'll find streaks of pink
I see.
and blue,
Uh-huh.
and it was not a pure brown. It's all different colors.
Very interesting stone.
This is orange alabaster, and this is a very, very delicate piece. In fact, I was all through sculpting it, and I was down here working on this part, sanding it, and all of a sudden I heard a clink, and a leaf dropped off.
Oh, no.
So I had to redesign it, and that's what I have. And that is my favorite. This is really delicate. And when the sun comes through the window, it just glows. It just takes it.
It's glowing right now. I think
Yeah.
it's one of the most beautiful pieces
Yeah,
of
it's
stonework
because
I've
it's so
ever-
delicate and thin. This was difficult to sculpt.
How long did this one take?
That took me a couple months
Did it?
because of all the facets.
And it's interesting because I can see some very interesting detailing in the
Yeah.
stone on this that
Yeah.
I've not seen in the others.
Yeah, sanding it was difficult. Carving it was even more difficult because it's so delicate.
Oh, that's beautiful. And what is the stone?
That's Italian alabaster.
Very beautiful. Now, how is it that you got, here is sort of white, and then a different, is that just the way the stone happened to be?
No, Marge, this is sanded after it's sculpted, then you sand it, starting with very coarse sandpaper, and you end up with sandpaper that's almost like wax paper.
Interesting. So
And-
if you sanded this more, it would be more like
It would
this.
come like this.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
Beautiful work.
This took almost 4 months to sculpt, and it's Texas pink limestone. It has a pink cast to it. It just began to evolve as I was sculpting.
Does she have a name?
No, I just call it the bashful nymph.
Oh, well, we're very glad that you weren't bashful and you invited us into your home today.
Thank you.
Thank you for being with us on Art Chat, and thanks to all of you for joining us. We'll see you again soon.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Bye-bye.